Come join Libby and Molly, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers.
Hey y'all, welcome to episode 87 of Consignment Chats. Libby, how you doing?
Great. Especially great now because of some of the things we want to tell you about.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Okay, we've got a guest coming in today.
All right, I'm going to say he's from ConsignCloud. He is the CEO of ConsignCloud. And we believe everybody should be consignment ready. So if you're a reseller who hasn't done consignment, this is still going to be for you. So listen, let's get our inventory management on and let's go hear what he has to say.
All right, y'all, as promised, here he is. This is our friend, Jon, and welcome to Consignment Chats. Jon, how are you doing?
Great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, I haven't given them any information because we like to make people hang on and let you be the one to do it. So start by giving us a little introduction of who you are and what your position is with the company and all that good info, where you're located.
Yeah. So I'm just a humble software developer. I joined ConsignCloud in 2016. A friend of mine, Austin Storm, runs a consignment company up here in Moscow, Idaho, up in northern Idaho. And they wanted a developer to help work on the software. So I joined that. And over the next 6 years to date, I was the last employee standing, basically. So I've essentially inherited the CEO role. So I'm in charge of everything. So sometimes I introduce myself as a software developer. Sometimes I introduce myself as the CEO. But we're a pretty small company, so I like to keep it informal and small. So
I think we get it both, right? We get both. It's so rare to work with somebody that has been on the development side that also is the front-facing person in the business. And when you find that combination of person that really understands the customers, understands the business, but also understands the technology behind it, whoa. All right, you are special.
Yeah, it's a fun
That's all
role.
I can say.
I feel like I'm always being stretched. I'm basically out of my depth in any given situation. So
I disagree with that, but okay.
Right?
And I have to say, so I grew up in Moscow, Pennsylvania. So I was super excited when I saw your location was in Moscow, Idaho, because I'd always knew that there was another Moscow out there, but I'd never met anybody from there. So that was kind of just a little aside. I thought it was kind of fun.
I'm only familiar with the Moscow Mule, so I guess I.
Yeah. Every so often we'll get someone who asks, "So are you Russian? Are you in Russia?"
Mm-hmm.
No. We're just
Yeah. I've definitely dealt with that as well. All right. So you are the CEO, behind the scenes software developer. How did you get in the world of consignment and reselling?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it was a software thing. A friend of mine runs a store, and so I just kind of took the job on and I started leaning into it. A couple of years ago, our marketing guy left, and so I started having to learn the marketing side. So I've researched, resale and retail best practices. I've talked to a lot of store owners over the years, especially, through customer support kind of stuff. And the key to success, I think, in any kind of software business, especially, is listening to your customers and understanding exactly what they want. So that's been my job. And as I take on more hats, that's kind of the core of all of it. To be a CEO, you just make some decisions and hire some people in accordance with that main mission. To be a marketer, you have to understand your customers and what they're going to be Googling and clicking on. To be a customer service person, you have to understand kind of what the pressure they're under is. A lot of the time, people will come at us from point of sale where they have a customer in front of them. So yeah, I mean, that's how I got into it is through all these different things. When I was in college, I got a liberal arts degree. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so it all kind of happened to me. Ultimately, though, I've really enjoyed doing it. Resale and consignment is a wonderful area to be in, just as in terms of like kind of familiarity and cordiality. Everyone is very polite and kind and enthusiastic. And then you have the whole kind of like ethical business side of things, which is nice. And I like small things. I used to work at a bigger software company. It just wasn't for me. So it's a very nice niche to be in. Not a big one, not an exciting one necessarily from what other people might necessarily think, but I've enjoyed it. So
I think a lot of resellers will absolutely relate to the fact of wearing so many different hats and having to understand so many different parts of business, and software and customer service and marketing. Like, a lot of us do it all. We do
And
it all.
having,
So
when meeting you, that was the first thing I think that made us go, okay, we're making the change to ConsignCloud.
yeah. So full disclosure, let's put a little disclosure out here. We recently transitioned to ConsignCloud. And why did we transition to ConsignCloud? Because our C chatters recommended it, and not only recommended ConsignCloud, but recommended we talk to Jon. And because
although they
his
called you
customer
Jonathan.
service, although they called you Jonathan, that the customer service and your ability to pivot and work with different types of businesses was just top notch. So we,
Above and beyond.
yeah,
it's been so gratifying to hear that. As I've started listening to your podcast, those little drops and recommendations, like Samantha and Michelle,
yeah,
recommending us, it feels really good. It's nice.
that's good. I mean, they are working so hard to provide this service, and a lot of times when you're in your role, you don't get that feedback directly, right? You get it like word of mouth, and people are recommending you, and but we're here to tell you there are people that are speaking about it, highly recommending it. We were so excited to be able to make the transition and partner with ConsignCloud and have some of existing ConsignClouders enter our community and be active. So that has really been, excuse me, very exciting. And we have revamped, and we have opportunities available to us that weren't previously because of ConsignCloud. And I mean, we're going to get into it. We're going to do a process video with our new process, but it's pretty amazing.
It's so exciting. Yeah. So so exciting.
And just knowing that if we have an issue, we're able to reach you. We're able to open that chat function. We're able to, to talk directly with someone. And it's not like, some nameless, faceless company is huge. And I think a lot of resellers will appreciate that, because they're in that role themselves and can really understand how much it takes and how important that one-on-one customer service is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we live more and more in a disembodied kind of internet first world where everything is outsourced, or, you've got chatbots to talk to, I think the personal service really fits with the ethos of consignment. Consignment is about relationships and about community. It's not primarily about quid pro quo, saving money, although that's all part of it, and that's a wonderful part of it. But from what I've seen, consignment stores really care about their consignors and care about their customers, care about their town, and aren't just trying to make ends meet. They're trying to, be on a mission. So
yeah, we are a passionate group, the consignment community. Like, we love what we do, and the reselling community.
Yeah.
All right, so your customers come to you, like somebody is looking at ConsignCloud. What is the biggest problem, like, somebody that comes to you is facing with their business, and how do you kind of navigate through that with them?
Yeah, so I would say we have two general patterns that we see most often, and that's smaller businesses that are looking to get into software. Basically, they've been doing things on pen and paper for a while, whether it's been 30 years or 6 months.
I'm still surprised at how many people do it by hand, like
Yeah,
not even
amazing.
A spreadsheet. Yeah,
And
right.
to be honest, like, sometimes people come to us and I just say, your business is too small to justify the cost of software. You should do it pen and paper. And what that does is, it allows them to learn their processes and really make it their own. They then have to grow out of some of those more idiosyncratic processes as they go along into software.
Right.
But I think it really does help solidify an understanding of your business and an ownership of your business. So that's kind of one set of customers, and then the other side is people who have kind of built their business to a more advanced state, and they're looking to sort of get online and start connecting with other businesses and services and different segments of customers and that kind of thing. So, and that's a place that we're kind of like a work in progress. We're looking at integrating more with other services online, opening up an API on our software, allowing people to bring their own developer to connect. But right now, like Shopify has been a really great bridge for us. You can build your own website on Shopify, but then they can allow you to publish to eBay, to Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, Poshmark, whatever. So going forward, that's kind of where we want to end up, is to help people to sustain their their brick and mortar local community kind of consignment culture stuff by getting online and reducing the amount of overhead that's required to do all that online selling. So the two have they have a synergy.
I mean, that's a game changer for us, is the integration with Shopify and storing the photos. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but storing the photos directly in the system, and it's linked automatically to Shopify. And then we have all these other avenues now open to us to sync things up. I mean, our live selling it's just amazing, the world that has opened because of this. And I'm yeah. All right. I don't want to be too gushing, but
right,
it is.
We haven't just done this. We're all in, right? We're all in.
Yeah. And of course, the next step, the API, it may sound very technical, but if you can hire a developer for a couple $1,000s, you can push everything into whatever your accounting software is, whatever other online platforms you might want. You can build your own reports and all that kind of thing. So that's something we're looking at. It's kind of on hold for the moment, but hopefully coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, out of the box, you have everything that we need, and we're pretty, I want to say, like, established as a consignment company.
Yeah, I'd say you guys are.
And I'd say out of the box, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we think every reseller should be consignment ready. Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, we know it's called ConsignCloud, and we know it can be used for consignment, but we also use it to manage our inventory in general, not just consignment. I mean, it's easy to add a consigner in and it's just natural, but I see a good fit for really any reseller.
Yeah, totally. So, consignment is sort of a species of inventory or business model for resale or even retail, So consignment is basically more complex than other retail inventory or buyout right you might have. What that means is it's really easy for us to support retail workflows. Consignment is the hard part. So we put a lot of effort into consignment early on, and we didn't actually support retail a few years ago. And people were asking for it all the time. Do you support retail? I have a mix of items in my store. And at one point we said, well, sure, why not? And we basically removed a couple lines of validation from the code, and there we go. We support retail. So retail, as far as like the basics go, is just a very, very simple workflow and process. Consignment is where all the complexity comes in. So yeah, if you have a mix of items, it's really, really easy to use ConsignCloud for that, and then to move into consignment when you're ready.
Yeah. So I think that if I was somebody that was just starting out as a reseller, I think this would be an incredible tool. And then I wouldn't have to make the switch later on to deal with the complexities of consignment. Or if Joe from down the street all of a sudden had a big consignment for me, I could say, oh yeah, and I'm set and I'm ready, and it just fits right into my process. There's nothing I really need to do differently. I can add consignment into my reselling business. And I love that.
I'm curious, is that something you see pretty frequently, people moving from retail into consignment? Because, one of the cool things about consignment is it's easy to start a business. You don't have a lot of capital expenditure to start out with because you're not purchasing your inventory, you're just kind of sourcing it. But is that something you see pretty often?
Very, very often. Very often. I would say the vast majority of are resellers that are going out thrifting, sourcing, and somebody comes to them and they say, oh, can you sell this for me? And like you
Gotcha.
said,
Yeah.
consignment can be a little complex, but if you have the system in place, if you know what your terms are, you just pop them in that inventory system and it's no big deal. You know what your payouts are, it's tracked. I think that's a very common road to consignment is actually somebody asking you, because the second you tell somebody you're a reseller, what do they say, Molly?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was going to say on top of that, I think that's changed in the last like 3 years or so because selling has become so big with things like Poshmark coming up because people weren't jumping into eBay as easily. They were scared of it, but Poshmark made it easier for the stay-at-home mom. But now they're seeing the value in eBay. So we always tell people go to eBay first and learn that first because it's the best platform worldwide. But I think in the last 3 years, really even so with, I say Poshmark, but also with the pandemic, people were trying to figure out what to do. They're home, what can I do? And they started reselling. And from there, it's just branched more and more and more to having that and then making sure that we constantly preach, and I'm going to say preach because we do preach for those resellers to be consignment ready, to have that agreement at hand anytime, because you're always going to have somebody, whether it's your grandmother, your aunt, or your neighbor, or somebody random that finds you and says, oh, can you sell this Louis for me? And if you're not ready, you walk away. That's big bucks that you could make,
Yeah, it's big
Yeah, that
bucks,
makes a ton of sense.
It's essentially, if you're cash strapped, it's consignment is free inventory, right? You don't pay until it sells.
Yeah.
So just to be ready for that. Or you can buy outright, which you would have to, have the cash to be able to do that, be liquid enough to do that if that's the route you choose. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we have several that do both, and I think several that are leaning to doing both. The more they listen to us and hear us get on our soapboxes about this, they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, both models have great characteristics to them. Like one of the most common ones is it helps control your inventory mix and your profit. It's very common for kids stores that are selling a bunch of, baby onesies to do those on buy outright because the margin on each item is so low that it's worth the processing time that it takes to track the consignment. Whereas, they also sell high value items like strollers for $150 or something like that. And those, they'll do consignment. They'll even do like a pretty low split on the consignment because the consignor's happy to get, $40 off of that or something. And so they make all their money off of the consignment, but they sustain the business on the buyout, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that ConsignCloud makes that really, I'm going to sound like a commercial here. I'm sorry, but
I don't mind.
I think it makes it really easy to mix that, buy outright, do consignment, go thrifting, have your reseller items. It just makes it whatever you want to do. You can do it and you can track it and you can see where your profit is coming from. You can see where your inventory is coming from. And
it's the best of all worlds.
Right. To be able to do all of that.
I'm going to finish your commercial. It's the best of all worlds in one platform with amazing personal customer service.
Yeah.
There's the commercial.
And we do it all. Like we've done it all, like the buyout, right? The thrifting, the consignment, and just to be able to do it all and kind of balance your business that way and have a couple different, I look at it as kind of different revenue streams. Like it's not all coming from the same thing. You have kind of different things going on, but you can see everything in one consolidated place. You can process everything. There's no one-off. There's no, oh, go over here and do this and track this over here, or no, consignment goes over here. It's just done.
Yep.
So thank you for that, because it's amazing.
Hey, I'm glad it's working.
So all right, so we have somebody out there and they're thinking about starting a consignment shop. They're thinking about starting reselling. Maybe they're going to start online. They're not in the brick and mortar. They're thinking about all that. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about running a consignment business. I haven't done it myself, but I have a couple things that come to mind. I would kind of double down on what I said before. Like, what is special about consignment is kind of that physical and relationship oriented experience.
Hmm.
A store can scale by listing online, but in the same way, buyers can also go anywhere to find cheap stuff. So that's not really what differentiates you from the rest of retail and then from the rest of resale. Um, you know, People's options are a lot more limited when it comes to finding places they want to spend their time, beautiful places they want to actually go into.
Hmm.
So in my opinion, and I may be wrong about this, but it seems to me that a physical location is kind of the foundation for a lot of consignment businesses. I know that there's a lot that are e-commerce only, and I know that
Hmm.
that's where a lot of people get started. By kind of creating a community and a location is an exciting thing for people, and it's the thing that has that stickiness. You may get a customer passing through online, but you don't get a lot of repeat business that way. Having a physical location and kind of a locus that way helps with the repeat business.
Hmm.
And then the other thing I would say is, look at how the retail world does things. There's a ton of science that and analysis that has gone into retail because there's so much money in new retail. So figuring out just like metrics for assessing your inventory as far as turn time and days on shelf, cost of goods sold, and all that kind of thing. Um, One thing I've noticed is that a lot of folks who've been in business for a number of years get pretty attached to their own particular policies. And they kind of lose the forest for the trees. They'll come to ConsignCloud and they say, "Do you support this particular policy?" And I'll say, "Well, no, not exactly. We've never actually seen that before." And they'll say, "Well, I can't use your software then." And I mean, that's fine. People can run their business the way they want, but it's a little bit of a shame because I know that that particular policy, there's some edges to it that may be less customer focused than they would ideally like to be. But just because they feel like they built this business from the ground up, which they did, they can't make that next step into growing their business and kind of adopting best practices from the retail world. And that's something that I try to do. I spend a lot of time on Investopedia, looking up the technical terms for things and trying to figure out what exactly is the best way to do this. What is the correct way? What's the way that your accountant is going to understand, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I think your point of just being open and being able to pivot, we've pivoted so many times in the past 10 years that my head is spinning. But just, not being afraid to go back and look and reevaluate and try something a little bit different, and not just be invested in something because it is the way you've always done it, right?
I mean,
yeah,
And it's hard.
things change. They
Yeah.
just do,
Yeah, it's hard to do that, and sometimes you have to take a step back and just say, you know look at the forest and not the trees.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and like what's special about your business is it's your business. Like you are what makes it special. But you're also not, you don't have a PhD in like retail economics, if that's such a thing. I don't know. But, there's a
How do
lot of
you know I
different
don't have one? Oh, God.
Assuming not, anyway.
But yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your question, for someone who's actually starting a brand new business, I would say e-commerce is great. Kind of looking at it as an arbitrage sort of approach, where you don't have to worry about branding and marketing right off the bat, and you kind of focus on the fundamentals of the business. You
Hmm.
can sell widely, you can acquire widely, and once you get kind of comfortable with handling the inventory, the rest of it is something that you can kind of add on top.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start, is just
Yes.
with the arbitrage. And yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Just get the focus, get the process down, and then, start there, because once you have your process, I think that's the hard part. I don't know. Molly's the branding expert. What do you think?
No, I think it's a hard part. Well, I mean, that's kind of how we evolved too, is getting the process down. And I was listening to Jon talking about the difference between the store and online. And
Mm,
we started brick and mortar. Now we're fully e-commerce. But we have been able to create a phenomenal community in our online lives. So we do have a lot of repeat customers because we're so active in our Facebook page for our business. I know you've been seeing our consignment chats part, but in Conchi Consignment, we have a lot of things that we do actively in there, and we have created quite a community. It's not easy.
I was going to say, it's not as easy as when you have a physical location. It took us years to kind of figure out how to build that community. It's more work. It's more work to build that online and those repeat customers, for sure.
And I've actually learned a ton from you guys about doing that online piece. All the live events and stuff that you do. I never would have expected that there was that much going on the front end of the business. So yeah, I mean, as far as the repeat business point, I would say, like, if you're selling on eBay, no one cares who the buyer is, you know. But if you are building that online presence, that's basically just an online version of what I'm talking about as far as community, belonging, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you just have to put the work in and figure out how to do that, because it is easier in a storefront, for sure.
Online.
And I think part of our success is that we had those years in the storefront. So some of what helped us build our online community are those customers who missed us having the brick and mortar and coming in and spending time with us. And so now they get their fill of Libby and Molly by joining us online, you know. So
yeah. Once you have a brand, you can make it reach. But yeah, the integrity of the brand is what's the core. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And I think with now with Shopify and the integration with our live sales and everything we're doing, and that is going to make it so much better for our community and kind of provide that a little more. We have an app now. So a little more of a feel, an app, thanks to, I don't know that we could have done it without ConsignCloud and its integration with Shopify. So it's been a month of evolution based on us looking at the forest and not the trees and going, oh, all right, I think we can do things a little differently here. Yeah. There's a better way. I think we're just we need to pivot again.
Talk about having to take a deep breath and go, okay, I can handle change, because we did a lot of change by, moving over to ConsignCloud and the app and comments. So we did a lot in 1 month, and I'm proud of us that we did it.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of it had to do with the help of your customer service and what you did to help us move over and get it done so easily. I mean, it was just easy.
Yeah, because change is hard. Change is hard, and people don't like it. Like, it's a natural thing not to like change, but it was and coming from, I was a project manager for systems integrations for years, and this went so well. So well.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people will come to me and they'll kind of freak out because they see the size of the problem, and I try to help them break it down and just say, well, here's these steps. We'll do a dry run of your import, and then we'll actually bring it over, and we want to do it outside of business hours, so you're not processing sales and messing your data up at the same time. And I know what that process looks like, so I'm able to help with that. So it can be a lot simpler than it appears at first look.
I agree. And just having like somebody to say, it's going to be fine. Look, we're going to do this. We're going to test it out. This is the next step. This is the next step is huge. Huge. Yeah. So,
excuse me.
Go ahead, Molly. I was just going to ask Jon where we can find him. I know he's in our C-Chats community. If you guys have questions, I'm sure he will be there and answer them if you direct them, or we can direct them to him. Yeah. But where could somebody find you if they had an interest?
The best place to start is just our website, consigncloud.com. We put most of our work into that website. That's front and center. So look for that. You can feel free to sign up for a free trial and get into the software. We have a little chat icon as well on our website and in the software. So that's the easiest way to kind of get into our queue, so we can serve you better. But yeah, email us at support@consigncloud.com if you have any questions. And yeah, we have a Facebook and an Instagram account. We're slowly starting to move more into actually maintaining those. We've been focused on building the product for so long. I can only wear so many hats.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, drop into the C-Chats Facebook group and I'll be around.
Yeah, I have to say, all right, favorite feature of the software is that chat functionality. Because when you have a problem like in front of you, or you're looking at a customer and you need an answer, it's like, hey, I did not have that before, and it is just awesome. Most of the time it's just a simple, silly question, but I need an answer like right then and there. And I'm sure a lot of people with brick and mortar have experienced that probably
Sure.
on a more intense level than I have recently. But yeah,
Sure.
I mean, that's just priceless.
Yeah, we get a ton of mileage out of that. People use it a lot, but it also helps us to keep organized on our side rather than having emails floating around everywhere. So yeah, it's a great way to go.
Smart.
So thank you for providing that.
Well, clearly we are big fans, right, of Jon and of ConsignCloud. And Libby is going to link up all of the information in the show notes for everybody, so you can get it all together and have it all right at your fingertips. Jon, we cannot thank you enough for coming here and being a part of this and talking to our C-Chatters about all that you do.
Yeah, of course, and thank you. I really appreciate everything that you guys do. It's exciting to see you grow, your community grow. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Whoa, it's a good one. Oh my gosh, I hope everybody loved that as much as I did. I should say we, because I know you did too.
Yes, what an awesome way to enter the world of reselling or consignment and get your process up and ready from the beginning. So whether you're using this or another consignment software or a spreadsheet or a notebook, I think that this was probably worth a listen for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I learned some things and got some things out of it I wasn't even thinking about before. So yeah, every reseller should be consignment ready. So if you're a reseller and you're not sure how you're going to track your inventory and how you're going to, help your friends and family when they come to you with the items, this is a pretty good solution. Yeah. So I'm going to link up everything in the show notes, and you can connect with us in our Facebook community where we talk about all sorts of ways of tracking consignment. This is one of the options, and we are just happy to be working with Jon and ConsignCloud.
Yes, and he, as he mentioned, will be happy to answer questions, as will Libby and I, and we have a couple others in the group that use it. So Libby's going to add a link that you can download the software. You can check it out.
Yeah.
And, I'm just, I love that he, the hats that he wears, he knows them, and all those different hats helps him serve us better.
Yeah. I mean, when I was speaking to him, I really, felt a lot of similarities, like I said, with different resellers and how we all wear so many different hats. And a lot of us are in charge of, the marketing, the software, the tracking, the what else? I don't know, dealing with consigners, customer service. There's so many different hats we all wear. And just to have people that understand and are compassionate about that and empathetic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think because he wears those hats, he's able to be more empathetic because he's been learning so much from the different ones. So
yeah.
Good.
And constantly pivoting, not afraid to pivot, not afraid to take on new challenges. I think that was one of the things why Samantha and Michelle actually recommend it, is because they said, he was willing to work with them. Now, Michelle has a brick and mortar and Samantha's online, so both ends of the spectrum. And Molly and I do consignment, buy outright, regular retail sales. So
yeah, we're doing it all between the three of us. We all speak highly of this. Hey, I want you to talk about Patreon, but before that, I want to tell everybody, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe. If you're listening on podcasts, please leave us a review and download us in there so you get all our episodes. But our Patreon has just been getting more and more exciting. So I thought maybe you should say a little something.
All right. So we are just coming off of a Patreon meeting. This is recorded a couple weeks in advance. So we do it a meeting the second Tuesday of every month if you're part of our group. And I have to say, every time I leave there with so many ideas and so inspired. And I just love chatting with our C chatters.
Yes.
And wow, I think we came up with some really good solutions for different businesses. Yeah, problems. Just talked it out. We had accountability, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my numbers, and then I'm going to help someone out with our spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Our listing calculator kind of fell to the back there for a while, and I was so glad that came up in our meeting today. So what we have is this on our website, consignmentchats.com. You can download a free listing calculator. And the reason I did this calculator was for myself. I didn't know how much I needed to list in a day to hit my income goals. So I made a listing calculator, and it breaks it down yearly. You plug in what you want to make for the year, and then you see what your goals need to be daily or weekly or however you want to look at it. So if you haven't grabbed a copy of that, I would go do it, plug your numbers in, kind of see where you are. If you're thinking about going full-time, definitely do this. If you are part-time and want to make a certain amount of money and you have a goal, this is a great tool to help you kind of figure out how to get there. What the actual steps you need to do every day are.
So exciting.
Yeah, we need to talk about that listing calculator more.
I know.
Yeah.
We put it up there, talked about it, and then kind of let it go to the wayside. But now we've got somebody who needs it and is going to learn how to use it. And it's just an amazing tool you've created. So thank you from all of us.
Thank you. I'm going to go revisit because I want to make some more money. So I got to see what I need to do.
I actually am sitting here thinking I'm going to go plug in numbers because I need to figure out myself again and get it back together.
Yeah. With another kid going to college next year, I might need.
Might need an adjustment.
Yeah, I might need a little adjustment.
Yeah, those kids, you know. So so y'all go to consignmentchats.com. That's where you can find our Patreon links and anything else that you want to find out about us. I've just really loved the Patreon. If you want some untaped, unrecorded, what's the word I'm looking for? Community time, some networking with other businesses where we're there to support each other. Join in because it's a lot of fun.
And I really like to say I don't like to share my numbers on YouTube or podcasts. I don't think that's appropriate. But we do share them in the networking group if you would like to, in the Patreon group. It's because it's not recorded. We can just be free and talk real life, real numbers, real struggles, real ideas. I love that.
Right. ConsignmentChats.com. Until next time, Libby. Cheers.
Thanks for joining Libby and Molly, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers. Find all the ways to connect with us at consignmentchats.com. Episodes are available on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. In addition, you can find us on Facebook in our Consignment Chats community. Until next time.